Hey everybody, this is here for the Instagram followers. I'm Willow,
I'm Maritza.
and oh man, Fantasy Suites Week. This one was, I mean, it was interesting. Um,
It's a hefty
well, to
one.
start, yeah, to start, we start off with a very intense conversation that made me feel very uncomfortable, and I felt like should not have been included in the edit
Mm-mm.
at all.
Mm-mm. So yeah, they bring Matt's dad to talk to him about commitment and relationships, which, like you said, why did they think this was a good idea, one to put in there and one to
Right.
air? Like it was just
Yeah.
such an emotional and raw conversation that was should have been way more private than it was.
It was also like, I mean, we've been hearing from Matt. Obviously, we don't know much about Matt this whole season because we haven't found out much. And the little we do know is like, oh, well, his dad's not really been present at all. And so knowing that and that he's really just kind of been gone from his life, and this was like their first major conversation as adults, is disturbing that it was on the TV. It's just uncomfortable, especially because there was like arguing and his dad's still not owning up to things where it was just like, man, that's really rough. And I feel like I'm at Thanksgiving right now.
No, literally though, it felt like I feel like Matt's dad came in thinking like, oh, like I'm just gonna have my TV like appearance, like it'll just be
Yeah.
that, but like it turned out to be like a lot different. And it's just like it brought up childhood trauma almost. I put this quote that I got from Matt that literally had me in tears. He said, like, I like growing up, his dad would like visit once in a while and like bring him like food or like get him like
Oh,
new
pizza.
things.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's like, I don't need shoes, I don't need pizza, I need my dad. And I
Yeah.
started crying. I was like, oh, I'm out. Okay.
It was a lot. And it was just like, like we said, it was really raw. And I felt just like so sad for Matt, still kind of seeing that his dad will never change. And his dad even says, like, he even says about his dad, I don't think he's ever going to get to a point where he can really get married. Like he's never going to be ready for marriage. And that just like, ooh, that's deep right there.
Exactly. And I don't know how we ended up transitioning from that to Michelle's date. Like in that mind space, I was like,
It was crazy. We just kind of go from this deep, like heavy conversation that I'm imagining would weigh down on Matt a lot. And then it's like we just bam, edit, jump to like seeing the women chit chat before the dates. And then like bam, Michelle's having a one-on-one and you're expecting a nice spa date. And instead she's surprised with a greasy, buttery massage.
yeah, I was like, oh, they're like Dutch style spa day. And then there's milk and there's butter. And I'm
Oat
like,
foot
oh,
bath or whatever.
yeah. Oh, oatmeal bath. Yeah, that was just,
Although I will say the
uh,
milk bath did seem kind of refreshing following the butter. I feel like the milk would feel kind of nice.
that's true. That's true. I'm just thinking about like the smell. Like,
I've heard people talking about this too on the internet that like this is not a real thing. Like they said it's some traditional Dutch Pennsylvanian massage or something, and like that's not a thing apparently. Like they think that they just made this up for like the show for the date.
jeez. I do have to say that their talk after, like in the evening portion, was like really good. Like, I feel like him talking about his dad kind of
Yeah,
and him opening up really made him connect a lot more to Michelle because Michelle was like really like there, willing to like listen through all of it and
totally.
stuff and like kind of giving him like, hey, like I don't know what you're going through, but like I know like it's hurting you kind of situation.
Totally. It's just, I think Michelle even literally says, like, finding everything out about your dad and your baggage and everything like that doesn't make her feelings change. It only makes them grow. And so that kind of leads them into the fantasy suite where they bring up the date card signed Chris Harrison, and, she accepts, obviously. And this, I mean, the date, they seem like they had a really nice room and everything.
Oh yeah, a lot better than Bree's date.
Oh yeah, Breeze. She was shafted. It was like Ivan, shafted.
Literally though, like I just keep noticing like the people that like they already know that they're gonna go home. They just like, and it ends up always being one of our
Bottom of the barrel,
favorites.
man.
Exactly. Like first, I mean, let's move on to like Bree's date. Bree, they literally do an outdoorsy camping date. Like I was getting flashback to Ivan when they had to do this little trailer and like I was
Yeah, and
just
like
like,
Matt pretends to know like he's all about like he was some Boy Scout growing up. Meanwhile, he like admits that he literally never does anything outdoorsy. And I'm just like, bro, why are you faking like you know how to use a compass on a
I
trail?
know. Oh my God. He couldn't even put a tent up. Like Brie was bullying him the whole time because like she ended up putting the tent up. And she's not an outdoorsy person either.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, if you're the not an outdoorsy person, and we know this because it's been mentioned like before, or it was mentioned in this episode, I think. But I will say this. Okay. He was good with the puns. Matt brought the puns on this date. While she's pitching the tent, he's joking about like, oh, I can pitch a tent too, or whatever, like that. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, okay. Do you remember that?
Why am I just getting what he said now?
Dude, they
Oh,
were cracking puns. They had like three in there. I didn't write them all down, but they had like three.
what an icon. Literally an icon. Wow. No,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were joking.
I just put like he said that she was a woman of the woods and like they were all talking and like hiking and like I don't know. I just thought
Doing
Brie deserves so
outdoorsy
much better.
shit.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God.
And then, I mean, I guess the lightheartedness from Matt's end definitely continued into, you know, the evening portion of their date where Matt just basically repeats the same narrative that he told Michelle about his father to Brie. And I was like, okay, good to know we have a script.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do think I was gonna say this like a little bit later, but like the whole conversation, because he ended up mentioning his dad in all three conversations in like the night portion. And I feel like that was kind of what really affected Brie going home. Because I think in Brie's part that Brie kind of I feel like I don't know. Loki, I feel like Matt's a little self-centered. So Brie kind of put her experiences, like how she like was also raised like by a single mother, didn't have much of a connection with her dad. And she tried to put her experience in rather when the other girls, they kind of just like said, like, oh, like we're here for you. And like Brie was more actually
Brie
giving
was
like genuine
pulling like
advice.
the I can relate, I've been in your shoes, like sympathy card. Whereas Matt just wanted the like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's really hard. Like I can't imagine what that, you know, what that's been like for you. I don't want to sound bad, but I agree in like that he's kind of self-centered. He's kind of attention seeking, it seems.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I like felt that the whole time. And I was like, I low-key kind of wish Brie was the Bachelorette because she's just so pretty and so charming and so gracious. And I'm
Oh,
like,
she'll be fine. She will do fine on Paradise. Trust me. We got to start thinking of who she's going to end up with though. Like Brie and Ivan.
oh my God, I already saw it. I already saw it. I was thinking in my head. I was like, Brie and Ivan,
Dude,
honestly,
they have the same like
Brendan and
contagious
Brie.
smile. Oh my God, totally.
Yes.
I
Or oh
just
my God, Riley,
Riley, why am I blanking on who that is?
the
Oh
attorney, the
wait.
attorney.
Yes, I loved Riley. Oh my gosh. Yes. He went
There's
home
just
on the date where they were like doing their art projects that were talking about
yes.
themselves and he had the amazing deep one with like his mom. Oh my God. Love him.
Literally, that would be like they're just so like so like they're powerhouses. Like,
What
oh
does
my
Brie do
God.
again? What is her career? I'm just gonna look it up.
She works in marketing, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so both of them are like professionals. She works for a high profile social media company. Okay. So yeah, professional like lady rolling in the dough. Love that.
Yeah,
She's the one that gave up her job though for the show, I think, right? Like her previous
exactly.
one.
Which I was gonna say, like, so well, I mean it will go on more to the date and see who they end up eliminating at the end, but and then I'll say like what I was gonna say about Brie and like how she's doing right now. But for the whole week though, during Fantasy Suites, Rachael was literally freaking out so much, being unstable because of the whole thing of the other girl sleeping with Matt. And I'm like, girl, you're barely realizing about this.
She could not handle it at all. It was kind of reminding me of like, I think it was Victoria on Pilot Pete season, where she was just like losing it over that. And I'm just like, honey, like we know this is part of the deal. Also, if like Rachel's last, you know that means you're like the most liked if you're last.
Exactly.
Don't worry. Yeah.
She had nothing to worry about. But I mean, she ends up like, and her date, they end up doing like clay making, kind of sculpture making kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like she was
pottery.
in her head the whole time, and she like was like so, I don't know, down.
It felt like she was doing it for the attention thing. You know, when like, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but when you're really mad and you're just like, darn, I wish everybody knew exactly what I was thinking, but I don't want to tell them because that's like giving in too much. They should just know. That was Rachael. 100%. And I'm like, sis, I've been there, but just tell him. Just like going into the date, if you had just pulled up and been like, hey man, I am super excited for our ghost vibe Patrick Swayze date, but like I just got to let you know I'm not really in a great headspace. I just don't feel very confident going in because I am the last fantasy suite date. If she had just said that, it would have like opened up the conversation much sooner and gotten rid of her anxiety so she could have actually enjoyed it.
Exactly. I mean, at the end, she ended up like saying like she wanted to talk to him in like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And so they did end up talking about it finally, and they kind of opened up. And that's when I heard Matt say that he was falling in love with her. And he didn't say that to any of the other girls. So I was like, okay, like wave the flag already. Like we already know that she's gonna be endgame at this. But
literally, yeah.
Yeah, like they kind of like basically pictured the whole thing. Not only saying like the last fantasy suite is usually always the one that wins, but like also like his wording and everything.
Yeah, literally. And then I'm gonna plug in my computer right quick for one super quick second because it's literally dying. But the rest of Rachel's date went really well. She had a whole fireworks show.
I was gonna say, yeah, the whole fireworks show. Like, come on, producers, could you have made it less obvious that she was gonna win? Like, it was romantic.
It was there.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at the rose ceremony, we have Michelle, Rachael, and Brie, and it was just so obvious Brie was gonna go home. Just like the energy wasn't there.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And she looks so pretty, man. She looks so pretty.
Stunning.
It was just so emotional because like I think the whole time was going through my head is that she basically quit her job for this and stuff, and like she just to like be on the show, and it was I
just felt like the energy. Remember how we were talking about last episode how the energy was just like it felt like Serena was supposed to be in Brie's position. It just felt even more apparent with this.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think even Brie like felt it throughout the whole time, and she was just kind of like emotionally preparing herself for it. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, just even the look in his eyes towards Michelle and Rachael is just like it's always been there. And then this brings us to part 2, the finale episode. It's like a double whammy here.
Exactly. And oh my God, this finale. Oh, I do have to quickly mention about Brie though, that I was watching her in a podcast with, I think this was with it's like Tasha's podcast with this other guy. I'm blanking on his name right now. But I think it's clickbait. They think that's the
clickbait. Tasha has the podcast with the guy, Grocery Store Joe.
Yeah. That but Brie talks about how even though she did quit her job, like she's doing completely fine right now because like she's a smart woman and she like financially knew she was stable enough to like have this break, and then like right now she's like with family and like with her mom with like the new baby and stuff, and she like is like grateful for this time, like, and she's like going to use her obviously her platform with all her hundreds of thousands of new followers
Well, when I actually just looked that up, it said her new job is that. So it seems like she's gotten a new job as the social media marketing manager or whatever, since being on the show. Because it was like as of 2021.
Dang. This girl's
So
working.
hustling. She's rolling it in, you know? That's why she would be perfect for Ivan, because he is also so self-sufficient. How old is Brie? Is she like 25, 26? Because that's
I think
literally
she's like
Ivan's age.
26.
That is literally Ivan's age. They're like meant for each other.
Well, I'm already shipping them. Anyways, after shipping them, let's go to season finale, which was yikes.
Yikes is right. Oh man, we open meeting Matt's mom and brother, and Michelle gets to meet them first.
I have to quickly say, did you ever get Colin Kaepernick vibes from the brother? I literally just saw Colin Kaepernick.
Totally, I can totally see that.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
I
his name
felt
is
like
John, by the
Michelle-
way.
John. Okay. I felt like the whole time Michelle was definitely really eloquent with all her responses. And I feel like Matt's family low-key loved her like a lot. I don't say a lot more. It seems like they loved her a lot.
I think John really dug her. He was all about the vibe. He literally even says it. He's like, I'm really looking for a vibe. I was like, I like you, John. And he was asking all the right questions to Michelle. He literally is like, how long was your last serious relationship? And what qualities do you see in my brother that makes you think he could be a good long-term partner? And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, dude, yes. Amazing. Sorry. That's all I just gotta like, yes.
Even Matt says he asked both Michelle and Rachael, like, was my brother grilling you? Like, he already expected he was going to come out with the hard-hitting questions, but like he delivered so well because like he mentioned things that like need to be mentioned when literally the engagement is like in 2 days.
Yeah, literally. It's a good point. And I mean, I will say this. His brother mentioned something that was really interesting to me. He says he's never seen Matt be very open with relationships. And I was like, red flag, red flag. Like, we've been saying this whole time. And his brother's literally saying it.
Exactly. So like I think that's the point when he said that, or I'm like, yeah, engagement, no. Is he gonna be single throughout the whole thing? Probably. Or rewrite, yeah.
And then we get to Michelle's conversation with Patty, and Patty was like tearing up when she heard that Michelle had a large family, because she says that Matt has always been attached to people with large families. Like in the past, he's always dated people with large families. And Michelle, though, I feel like Patty almost said that to throw Michelle off. But Michelle was just like, you know, honestly, I don't see that as a disadvantage. Like, I think that's great because it shows that he can appreciate that. And that's something that I come from. And so I appreciate that. I was like, okay, like turning it around.
Literally, yeah. No, I wrote that down to it. She like that Matt always like not only in relationships but in like friendships too. And I feel like Matt did mention that in when Tyler Cameron was there, how like basically, you know, like Tyler Cameron, like was his best friend because like Tyler Cameron's like huge family and like all this and that. And like growing up, like he was always like went with people who had those big families because not what he had. So like though when his mom reiterated that, I was like, I think this is a really big factor of like who he ends up being with.
Yeah, really. And can I just say, I am very uncomfortable after watching Matt talk to his mom, and he was literally rubbing her knee in like a very sensual way.
Thinking the same thing, but I was like, do I say that? Do I not say that? Like, is that just normal? And I'm not. I was just like,
that's not normal. That is not normal. I was like, is it your girlfriend or is it your mom?
I was like, oh no, y'all from Alabama or what?
This ain't Alabama.
No, it ain't. It's Pennsylvania. But I do have to say, I did find it really cute how like they ended Michelle's like little date thing with like Matt's like with Matt like doing a little snowball fight, and then like Matt mentions that he's
sweet.
Exactly. And he mentions that he's falling for her, and like
He also says
yeah.
he's like constantly shocked that Michelle is still single. I'm like, same.
Honestly,
How?
same. This girl's a queen. I'm just like, she's literally a badass and like does it all. And I don't know like how she's not been cuffed. Like literally, she's perfect.
Yeah. And it's I think that was basically the summary of that deal, really. And then we know he brings Rachael in.
Exactly. So they bring Rachael in, and I think Rachael, in the whole conversations between both like his mom and then his brother, I think she pulled the winning card with his mom when she like mentioned that like
Oh,
she yeah, literally about to say that the prayer.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, but you were right. You were literally reading my mind out here, Willow. It's literally the prayer. When she mentioned the prayer that Matt did, and that's like the point that she knew like he was for him, like his mom started like crying, was like, oh my God.
Yeah, she was just like, oh my God, yes, you're perfect. I will say this too, even more confirmation that Matt is going to pick Rachael anyways. Going in, he literally tells Rachael, it's really important to me to pick or to show my family and introduce them to the woman I'm like falling in love with. He literally says that. And I'm like,
yeah.
Whoop, there you go.
Like, wrap this up already. Oh, wait, I have 1 hour more left to go.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, and there's more of this. Great.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I will say this again really quickly. I know this, just got to mention this. John, there again with the questions. How many serious relationships have you been in? You know, like what qualities do you see in Matt that you like? And have you ever been in true love before?
Again, very good points that even Rachel's like, I did not expect this.
Rachel's like, no, I haven't been in love before, but ignore
especially not
that.
with a black man.
She's like, yeah, literally.
Oh no.
So bad, but it's true. My
but
God.
after that, when Rachael finally left, I think the grilling between like Matt's mom and John towards Matt like really like put him in a very unstable position that affected the rest of the show.
Yeah, it was like bad, but I think it really again speaks to like the fact that Matt's kind of been pretending to be okay with marriage. I feel like he's been pretending to be a really stable, secure guy when in reality he's just that New York dude in an $8,000 a month apartment that's not respecting his roommates.
Exactly. He's probably only in it to sleep with them, probably. I don't know. Like,
yeah, just something.
I know that. Go ahead.
No, you were saying.
I was gonna say like Matt's mom made like the quote that like thought was significant was like how she said how people fall in it, they fall in and out of love, and like love is not like the end all be all. And like both like the mom and John feel like Matt is not ready and just like jumping into this too soon.
I do think there's like a lot of family trauma though, collectively from their mom's relationship, that the sons have been probably played therapists to their mom a lot growing up. I'm not trying to like psychoanalyze too much, but it definitely kind of seems like that's part of the dynamic. Both of her sons are really protective over her and like really kind of weary of their father and of just like male female dynamics seemingly. And they're both really like weary.
No, yeah, for sure. I feel like that kind of really plays into like the relationship of kind of, I don't want to say hatred that he has towards his dad, but kind of like maybe condescending. Like it's just like they put like their mom like they don't
on a pedestal.
in a pedestal, and like they don't want to hurt anyone. Like they know how she's been hurt.
Well, the thing was that I thought was really interesting about this episode is earlier in the conversation with his dad, I think he literally mentioned like he came home and she had just left with the boys. And And I thought that was just really interesting because, like, I'm not trying to point fingers at all, but you know, there's always two ends to the stick, and like it always takes two to tango. And like I feel like through watching this really intimate personal family drama that we've seen on the season, um, it just seems like maybe there was like issues going on or whatever, and Patty just kind of like up and left and didn't necessarily like address them, didn't even give their dad the closure he needed, and just kind of decided like, for everybody, this is over and like this is done, and just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not even making the father feel welcome enough to show up a lot in their childhood. I'm not trying to make assumptions, but just from what we heard from his dad, from that little bit, and the little bit we've seen from like the family, it just seems like there's more there.
I mean, the dad ended up making like his own family, which like Matt says like hurt him too.
Yeah.
So like I think you might be going with somewhere where the fact that maybe he wasn't even like felt welcome to even come more times to visit Matt and like his brother.
Yeah, it could just be something where he didn't feel welcomed at all ever by Patty, and maybe, you know, since they were so young when it happened, I'm sure they don't really remember those arguments much or those conversations. And it's like, for all we know, they were happening, and Patty was like, oh, I'm not gonna let you near my boys or whatever. And then he could have gotten really lonely for all we know and went on to have his own family, because he needs to continue to live his life too. You can't just sit there alone all the time.
Exactly. I do want to say though, like Matt throughout the whole time kept saying that he knew that his dad wasn't ready for marriage or for like kids or anything like that. Yeah. And like he doesn't want to play the same mistakes that he did, because I think that's what led to like
he doesn't want history to repeat itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I think then that kind of leads us into Michelle and Matt's final date, which was really interesting because the symbolism from the setting was like incredible. They had to rappel down the side of a building to then go sit on a couch that was literally surrounded by red flags and have a conversation about their relationship.
I think the whole time also Matt was alluding that he was not ready to be engaged, especially after that conversation. So like going into the state, he already kind of knew that like, yeah, I'm probably like gonna have to break this girl's heart after this.
Yeah, literally. And I mean, that was just rough. It was, whew. Michelle was just pouring her heart out, and like Matt is just not really mentally there. And then like I feel like later on too, we go into the evening portion, and he just kind of, they don't really have much of a conversation before Matt just cuts it off and is like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I just can't see myself getting there with you. And it was just like super awkward because it was right after she had given him Mr. and Mrs. James jerseys.
They had world-changing warrior team shirts. Oh my God, I was crying. I was actually crying.
Yeah. She was ready to go to Earth Day in those shirts and like help clean up the beaches and just like, you know, do all their volunteer work and like be there for the community and make a difference. And
I just see the pain in Matt's face before he even says that, like, before he even says anything, just to like accept the shirts, he just sees the pain in his face. You're like, wow, yeah, this just made it a lot more harder. It was not expecting.
He's like glancing to the producers on the side, like, why'd you do that? Why'd you let this happen? You know, I'm breaking up with her.
Yeah, I think when he finally says that he can't get there with her, like Michelle's response just like, it broke me. Like, I was just like, she said that like sadly it was like a flip of a switch, and like after she put everything on the table for like both of them, and like yeah, they were both like heartbroken, like devastated.
Totally. It was just like, damn. So then the next day, Matt talks to Chris Harrison and is basically just telling him he needs more time to process everything. So he cancels his date with Rachael. And she's shook.
She is left on the couch crying, and obviously not expecting, because like we see an interview with her, she was like, I'm so excited. And then after that she was like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah, and I will say she looked great for the date. Like cute
Yeah.
outfit, like leather pants and like that black shirt and everything. Her hair and makeup was perfect. But
At least let her
bummer,
take pictures for the least for sake of it.
right? Get some Instagrams while you're there. But yeah, that's when during this day, Chris Harrison and the whole crew was like, "This is the perfect time to bring in Neil Lane and
Oh
have
my
and have
god.
him pick out an engagement ring." When he said he cancels his date on the one remaining person. They're
I
like, "You
literally
will
thought
commit."
I was like the whole time I thought like through Neil Lane's head is like it's probably wondering like when are these people actually gonna get married and I'm not just wasting my time with these rings.
Deadass, like, how many rings am I gonna get returned?
Honestly, yeah. That
Crazy.
was
It
the
was, and
rings are
he was there
beautiful.
for like a full ass therapy session too.
He was. He was like, "Oh, it looks like you don't want to get married, but like I'm here, so like let me just speak my mind."
Just look at this super nice princess cut diamond.
The
This
pear
will make the pain
ring.
go.
This one is the one my mother had because you know you love your mother so much, you start doubting your relationships.
Yeah, literally like rubbing it in his face.
Honestly, though, but
So
yeah, I
bad.
mean, I was cringing the whole time he was
Neil
there.
Lane's Neil Lane really is just like deep down, like, bro, I had a contract. I gotta be here. They booked me for 45 minutes at least of like this interview talking with you. I'm sorry, but I just want to get paid. I want to get my coin. You just gotta do your part.
Yeah, I just smile and wave, guys. Just smile and wave with the ring.
Yeah, literally. And I mean, so Matt does pick out a ring, which where is it now? I don't know.
Probably in Neil Lane's pocket right now.
Hopefully. Yeah, it was interesting. And then the next day, do you want to lead us in?
Yeah. So the next day, Rachel gets a note and she gets a note like meet me at the lake. And like I thought that there was kind of a conversation, and then I realized after I see her in this beautiful dress. I'm like, oh,
And
okay.
he's in like a suit.
Yeah, he was in a suit. It was like, okay, so this is the actual engagement part. Like we're not having like a
Getting like
separate
camp
conversation.
rock vibes, like Nick Jonas, meet me by the lake, and he's gonna like sing the song. Like that's what I thought was gonna happen.
Oh my god. We gotta share some quesadillas and like the toe moons and like introducing me out here. Like, yeah,
Yes,
that's a I
introducing
see
me
it.
literally. And I'm like, what is this? An engagement scene? You guys, you canceled your last date on her. Like, what is happening here?
Oh my god. I feel like, yeah, that whole thing was just a mess. But I mean, they end up driving over there, and then Chris Harrison meets up with Matt to like talk about like, hey, like, are you actually gonna get engaged? Like, what's happening? And like he's like, oh, I just gotta talk to her, man. Just gotta talk to her. And I'm like, okay.
In an iron suit? Okay.
That's a very professional talk. Wow.
Yeah, literally.
But the whole scene, I was getting like, I don't know. I was getting Lord of the Rings vibes. The whole scene.
I was like, I don't
rewatched
know
Lord of
why,
the
but
Rings.
Rachel was reminding me of like one of the Wicked Witches with the green dress. Like it was very nice, but like
It just all seemed too
whimsical or something. I don't know.
yes. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Matt basically explained to Rachel why he can't propose to her, and he was just like, I don't want history to repeat, essentially. And he's like, I don't want to break up with you. He's just doesn't want to lose her. And so he's just like, is love enough? And she's just like, of course.
Like,
That's the summary.
wow, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna have such a dandy old time.
Although I hope you don't like have self-service in a few weeks when my, old photos come out, because like, ouch.
Yikes. Yeah. Although I just say like Matt kind of was saying like he wasn't ever really ready for an engagement, but like the whole point of the show was to get engaged. So I was like,
I
explain
love how
me.
he's going like, I was never ready for the engagement. But for literally 8 episodes of the show, he's like, I'm so ready for an engagement. I'm just here to get engaged. I'm here for the
I
right
see my
reasons.
wife in this room.
Yeah, I see my wife in this room. thank you for sharing that.
Oh my God, thank you for sharing that. I do have to say though that this is the first time I heard her say I love you, and it was to her that day. It's first time and only time.
Yeah. And they leave their beautiful, after she gets the final rose, they leave their beautiful little whimsical spot in, I think, the same horse-drawn carriage that Victoria entered in. That's what it seemed like.
Yes.
Do you remember Victoria like entered in this beautiful like white carriage?
I'm not remembering. Victoria, which Victoria am I talking about?
Oh, not Victoria from Pilot Pete season, but I mean like Queen Victoria with the fucking crown, like the totally dramatic bitch.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, I think she like literally entered in the
recycled
same
it,
carriage.
man.
Oh, good. I think she literally entered in the same carriage, and I was just like, okay, recycling.
Love that. Love that. Okay, love producers. They're still trying to save money. We love that.
Yeah. Despite the budget being astronomical. And literally all of it goes to Chris Harrison, I think.
Yeah, it goes to Chris Harrison, and then we're like, okay, bye. I do have to say though, he was still narrating this whole thing and like, watch out for after the final rose. And I'm like, this is awkward, Chris Harrison.
With Emmanuel Acho, that will be hosted by Emmanuel Acho. I'm like, what? They literally brought Chris Harrison back after the scandal to record this voiceover about him being fired from this hosting. Just like, damn.
No. The things you do for a paycheck. Oh no.
I know. Oh man. And we will be getting into more of that Chris Harrison drama and all of the next drama with Emmanuel Acho and just everybody on our next episode of Here for the Instagram followers.
Yep. I'm Maritza.
And I'm Willow.
Thank you.